Welcome to SteamWorld Build. In this video we're going through the ultimate beginner guide. I'm going to give you guys some tips and tricks to help you out within the game. And just quickly before we jump into them, I have to give a massive thank you to the devs and to Lurkit for the key. Then jumping into this one, when you start the game you do have the option to turn on tutorials, and I recommend you do it because the game's going to give you, I also recommend turning on the story as well. The game's going to give you different tasks, different objectives. It's very good at helping you out with the tutorial and stuff. So if you're new to the game, one of my biggest recommendations is to turn on the tutorials because they are really helpful. And your goal in this game overall is to build up your city all around the train station that's like centered on the map. But this game is much bigger than just the place you start in. There are multiple different places you can play the game in. It's not just this like canyon that I'm in. It's entirely up to you which one you pick, but I believe the premise is still going to be the same regardless of the one you do pick. But for an example with my one, as you make a little bit of progress, you'll go and unlock access to a mine, which is basically a completely new map. Or basically, like, you can use the numbers on your keyboard, so you can use like 1, 2, 3 as basically extra layers to the area that you're playing in. But as a full-on mine, explorable, you can build quarters and everything down there and have little workers and everything running around. So it's not just a little extra area that you can't do anything in. You actually have full access to go mining and stuff. But not only that, down in the mines you get extra tasks. For an example, there's one where you have to start finding rocket parts. And there's also one where you have to build up a mine shaft so you can get to the even deeper layers of the mine. So there's a lot to the progression of the game. It's not just a typical city builder where you start off with nothing, build up a basic city and you're done. There is a full-on story to this game as well if you wish to turn that on. And what you're going to do in this game is start off with workers that will eventually over time become engineers if you choose so, because you put down a workers residential. And then if you want to, when you unlock the ability to, you can upgrade that workers residential to an engineer's residential. And you're going to need both types of characters because buildings essentially have tiers. You're going to start off with workers working on things like making wooden planks through a foresting building and a lumber mill, but you will build up to the engineers and they work on things like purifying water and creating spare parts, things to do down in the mine. And they're like tier 2 workers because they do work more on the things related to the mine, but you need both. So it's not just, I'm going to start off with workers residentials and eventually upgrade them all to engineers, because then you have no workers and your tier 1 buildings can't produce anything. So you have to find the right balance for the different characters available. And it's still not that simple. You will eventually have to progress even further into the mine. As I said, you can go and build a mine shaft later on. But this is going to take a lot of time, a lot of resources. So what I recommend focusing on is your supply and demand. Try to balance it along with the workers and engineers and stuff. Try to balance your resources so that you have them coming in, not far too many going out. You have like a whole list you can find. This like just above the bottom right where you get the different maps and stuff. You'll see it, you'll have notifications when your like supply of stuff, like the things coming in, you'll have a notification when that's in the negative. So just to try and balance out the supply and demand of your resources, because all of them in the game, I wasn't going to say most of them, but all of your resources are really important in their own way. And also one of my biggest tips, especially when you're low on certain resources, when you are in the main area, so not in the mine, you're like up on land, look for these metal looking tumbleweed sort of things that are rolling around. You'll find them anywhere within the playable area, so just roam around and have a look and you'll typically find them just as you're roaming. I don't know how often they spawn in, but you can, like say I left it for like 5-10 minutes and down in the mine doing a task, come back up to the surface, look around and I'll typically find them again. But these metal looking tumbleweeds, all you need to do is click on them, then what they're going to do is kind of like explode and they're going to give you free resources and even money, which is going to come in really handy. And then another resource is gems, and if you're looking for extra gems, they can be found in the mines, but they are incredibly rare. So when you do come across some gems, don't spend them willy-nilly, and I don't mean gems like a mobile game gems, I mean gems that are used for like certain things within the game. But they are rare, so don't go spending them willy-nilly. Pay attention to the train once you fix up the train station is one of the first things you'll do. But make sure you are paying attention to it, because not only can you trade resources, so you can say, right, I want 100 gold nuggets, I'll give you 200 planks, as pure example. Not only can you trade resources when the train comes in, but you can also buy items, and that's where the gems are going to come in. These items are going to be used on buildings and even your mining quarters to speed things up, like having more simultaneous deliveries from warehouses and having more miners working from a single area without needing to expand it even more. And that's where the gems are going to come in. For pure example, you get 2 extra simultaneous deliveries from like one warehouse. That might cost you 15,000 money and 6 gems. So when you find the gems, save them until there's something from the train that you absolutely need. And when it comes to your money and other resources like your planks, make sure you're looking for those metal-looking tumbleweeds. But not only that, be prepared in this game to build multiple buildings of the same type as you get further in. Because once you make it far enough, you're going to unlock a new road type, which is really, really important as it's going to give you extra distance from your resource buildings. So for an example, if you have a workers' residential, it's on the edge of the general store's radius of how far it reaches. If you put paved road down instead of the dirt path, which is the paved road is the tier 2 path in, then what that's going to do is expand the reach because the paved road has a better reach than the dirt path. So it's going to fill more needs of your workers and your engineers, but there will come a time where you need to build another building of the same type, as no matter which path you have, the buildings just won't reach each other. And always make sure you're leaving space in between rows of buildings that you're putting down for placing your road, because sometimes you can get closed off and the building's not going to have any reach, it's not going to be connected to a warehouse or a train station or anything like that because you haven't put any road down. But do not worry if you make mistakes with the placing of your buildings, because not only do you have a demolish tool available, but you also have a move tool. So a demolish tool would be more for roads, and the move tool, you can just click on that tool so that you activate it, equip it or whatever, then click on a building, move it out of the way, place it down, and it's not going to cost any resources or anything, but you can move your stuff around so that you can make it a lot more efficient and you can build the game up the way you want to. And the SteamWorld Build it gets pretty big. It's a fairly big game, and a lot of it through the tutorials is explained to you if you choose to have them on. But I thought what I'd do is based on my playtime, I think I've got about 3 hours in the game so far. That's why this is a beginner guide. I thought what I'd do is put some tips together to help out beginners and players that might get stuck if they don't turn on the tutorial, for an example. And that is going to do it for this video. I hope it helped you out. Thank you for watching.